So thanks for everyone joining. This is Ann Bollinger. I'm hosting today for John. He's across the state with Kathy Davis, our favorite attorney, Kathy Davis, at a real estate conference. So I'll start with a disclaimer that Laura usually reads to the group. Welcome, everyone. First, a few housekeeping items. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you want to share into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorney, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is Ask the Attorney with Miss Catherine Davis. And the meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know. So a few other items with the group. Just this past Tuesday, we had our monthly meeting down at the Moolah Shriner Center. We had 2 speakers, one of which was Kathy Davis. And I know there's a few on the meeting today who were there, and it was a great meeting. She gave us some updates. Otherwise, it was a Q&A session as well. And then we had Jim Subert with Pride Restoration. And their expertise is water, fire, and mold mitigation. Their website is priderestoration.com. And does anyone else want to comment on what they learned, heard, anything to share from Tuesday's meeting?
I'll say it was a great meeting. Got a lot from both of them. Yeah, surprisingly from Jim, I guess not surprisingly because we always have really good guests, but there were several tips. So I would just say if you're a member, go back. If you were unable to listen to the live session, go back and listen there. I know one of the things he talked about was the, I think it's called a hydrometer or hydrometer, making sure you have, something like that in the basement to measure the amount of moisture that's in your basement, just to make sure that you don't have any mold growing down there, or potential for mold to grow. So that was one of the things that I took away to put down. I usually have a dehumidifier in the basement anyway, but after that conversation, I lowered the temperature on my humidifier in my basement. So.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, did he say 40% humidity?
He did say 40. I usually keep mine at 50, so I don't think I'm too far off. But yeah, I reset mine to 40.
Mm-hmm.
So a thing that I remember was the Kathy saying that the new service is coming. It's called a Right to Counsel, and that's when the tenants will get a free attorney. She did say though that it's going to come to the city, but probably not to the county yet. Do you guys remember that?
Yes, I think that was correct.
It was, yeah.
And I think she said, is that supposed to begin July 1st? But the only organization that was willing to help with the tenants' rights was Legal Services, and they don't even have their foundation in place yet and enough people on staff.
Right, yeah, she did say that, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But that sounds like it's not going to be something good for the landlords, that's for sure.
Right, yeah. One of the opinions that Kathy shared was the tenants will have free representation, but yet we still have to pay for ours as the landlord.
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a varying opinion on that. I mean, I've dealt with this in Kansas City, and things worked out in my favor that way. One of the things that Kathy kind of mentioned as well was it's easier to work with the lawyer most likely in these situations versus the tenant. obviously we're going to court, people, tensions sometimes are high. So chances are you're dealing with the lawyer, you're dealing with someone who's calmer, more collected, most likely in the situation, hopefully, versus someone who's based on emotion that you're in the process of evicting. So in my case, it was everything I asked for, plus the lawyer's fee I had included in her settlement, and we agreed to it. And she worked with another service to get it all processed. So when I walked away from it, I wasn't left out of any money. So in my case, I think it was fine. I had no issues with it.
Well, thanks, Amber. That's good news because you have had experience in Kansas City, so you would know a little bit more about that. Yes, that's great. Great part
Yeah, I
of it
mean,
to
I
think about.
understand from Kathy's perspective that we are paying for this. But I think there are ways that you can, I don't want to use the word get around, but you can add that feedback in. For instance, for my in my leases, I state there, if I have to take you to court, you're paying all of the fees, not to, or to include lawyer's fee, court costs, all of those things. I include that in the settlement. So I'm not necessarily out of money when I'm taking someone to court.
Well,
Yeah,
that's good to know.
Yeah, one of the other comments that Kathy added for the landlords is if your lease does not already have it, make sure it does have a clause about waiving jury trials, something like that. And if you need a sample lease or if you want them to review your lease, just contact Kathy Davis and her firm would be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, and I can also chime in there because I reached out to Chris, who also works in her office. I think the last time she mentioned that to us, I reached out to him saying, hey, Kathy mentioned you all having a sample lease, and he provided that to me, within that same week, probably a couple of days later. So I definitely recommend. And in addition, I think John also has the lease. So if you wanted to reach out to someone on the board, I think we can provide that to you. I don't think Kathy would necessarily have an issue with that, but if you want to go straight to her office to get that, they're more than willing to help you there.
And I've been using the same lease and I've added a few more clauses to that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I did as well. Yes.
Well, other upcoming, go ahead, Ann.
No, I was just going to say, is there anyone else on the call that was present in that meeting that maybe had some points that we know we might have missed? Well, I guess not.
Well, other upcoming meetings for the group, every Friday is Haves and Wants, as we're doing today. Usually the first Friday is Ask the Attorney with Kathy Davis. The exception will be next month in July because the first Friday follows the 4th of July and it's a long weekend for her. First Monday of the month is a networking lunch at Applebee's on Olive near 270. So that next meeting is July 1st. And then the third Tuesday of the month, so July 16th is the next one, is the regular monthly meeting starting at 6:30 at the Moolah Shriner Center. And the guest presenters next month will be Jason Diekman. He will be talking about Windows. And Nikki Stephen will be the main speaker talking about communication skills. For those who have joined us, John Lee is across the state with Kathy Davis talking about real estate. So I am helping to lead today's meeting and feel free to jump in, share your haves, wants, and anything you need to know. We're all here to share.
I have a question. You said that the meeting will be about Windows. Is that replacing Windows?
You know that the only detail I know is his name and he's talking about Windows. So
Okay.
I don't know if he's with one of the window companies.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's
We might
okay.
have Yeah, John might have more information at next Friday's meeting. on that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have Dave and Stacy with Soto Property Solutions. Is there any news and updates to add from property management? Any legislative news?
I'll talk a little bit about Soto, and then I know a little bit about a law they just passed, so I'll circle back. Hey everyone, Stacy Lowe. I'm with Soto Property Solutions. We are a full service brokerage. I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Missouri, so is Dave. But we specialize in property management. So if you need any managers for any of your rental or investment properties, we've got you covered. We cover the majority of St. Louis and then all the way down to Cape Girardeau, Sykeston area in southeast Missouri. So give us a call. We can handle everything for you from start to finish. We do all of the marketing and turnover and maintenance and accounting and everything to do with your investment property. So you can just sit back and relax, and we'll get you covered. My email, I'll put it on the chat as well. It's Stacy, STACY at Soto, SOTOPS.com. And then my office number 636-305-3380. And I am extension 1311. I'll put that on the chat as well. And then I know they just passed a couple laws. I don't know when they go into effect. I probably should know that, but one of them is you have to, as a landlord, you have to provide AC in at least one room. So before, AC was considered a luxury. Now it is, why can't I think of the word? It's a must-have. You got to at least have one room that stays between, I think, 68 and 88 degrees. So you have to provide at least one window unit, if not the whole house. And if you do have like central air and it breaks, you have to provide a window unit for at least one of their rooms to be cooled. And then Dave, do you remember what the other one was that was in that bill? Be able to find it. Yeah, that's I'm gonna look up and see if I can find the other one, but that's the news that I have.
Thank you, Stacy. Is anyone looking to buy property? Any wholesalers on the line today? Anything to sell? Stacy just entered her information in the chat box. Phone number, email. Scott, I haven't seen you before. And I haven't been on the line every week. Maybe you have. Are you
Hey,
able
Scott,
to?
you're
yeah,
talking to us on mute.
How's that? Is that better?
Got it.
Thank you. I'm new. I attended one of the Moolah Shran meetings, but basically I'm just I work with Herman London Realty in Maplewood, and I'm trying to get into the investor world here. So I'm just working on that. Only about a year and a half into real estate myself, so I'm still a baby. But good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Are you a property manager over there at Herman London?
I'm trying to get into it. I need to get some properties to do so. But I'm mostly working with rentals and sales in the city itself. So we by the way, we do have some new lofts that are in the city museum that are to die for. So
Nice.
New lofts.
Well, welcome.
thank you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of expertise throughout this group.
Hey, Anne, on the meeting, Tuesday, you were supposed to send me your clean out crew information. It never came over.
Okay,
If you could text me or if you put in the chat, you can send it to me privately, I think. Or I can have John send me your email address. Can you resend it? I did find somebody, but I'd like to have it just for future reference.
okay, I will do that.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, just for example, one of the items that Amber was just mentioning at the Tuesday meeting, she successfully completed, I shouldn't laugh, it's never a good thing in a sense, but an eviction in the Central West End. And there were some items left over, so she was simply asking for any contractors to help her with that clean out. And that is something that I had and was trying to share that phone number with her. So those are some of the items and recommendations that we share among each other in the group.
I just put those new laws, pictures of them in the chat. So the other one is a rental registry for the city of St. Louis. If you have any properties there, you now have to register it as a rental.
Stacy, can you talk about that a little bit more?
I don't know a whole lot. I can just read what the points are. So rental registry ordinance 71835. Again, I don't know when these are going into full effect. Dave, do you have any idea? No, I know they're signed and they're ready to go, but I don't know when it officially starts, but sometime soon. So all rental properties must be registered with the St. Louis City Building Division. You're going to have to give them the property address, the owner's contact info, a local agent if the owner is more than 100 miles away, emergency contacts, and in good faith rent estimate. Applies upon first occupancy or tenant change. And this going to be no extra fee, includes owner occupied units and certain duplexes. So it sound basically when you set it up to get it inspected for your occupancy inspection with the city, you're gonna, if it's a rental, you're gonna also have to just fill out additional paperwork, but it's not gonna cost any additional money.
So he's crazy trying to stay on top of the new laws, new changes.
Yep. Yep. But that's why you can hire us, because we stay on top and we know what all of them are and we know what's coming. So we stay on top of the legislation for you.
Oh, great.
So Stacy, that's only for the city, correct?
It's just for the city, but the county, there's certain municipalities that are already got the wheels in motion to hop on board with a lot of these new laws and stuff as well. I think Maplewood's already done it, so expect it to come to the county probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question for Dave and Stacy. It's a question that Doug and I raised last week about resident benefit packages. Do you guys offer that, require it? Know much about it? Thoughts, opinions, ideas?
We offer some residential benefits. We do why can't I think of what it's called? Security deposit alternative, where they can pay like, well, what is it, Dave? 70 or 80% of the cost of rent. So like $7, $8 a month or something. Instead of coming up with a $1,000 security deposit, they can pay the $8 a month. And that will actually cover them for double the amount of the security deposit. So we offer that because moving's expensive. And if you have to pay a deposit and movers and first month's rent and, it just gets expensive. So we offer that. We also offer, they can get liability insurance through us. Some landlords do packets where you pay a base pay, and it they'll come and give you furnace filters and stuff every 3 months, and they'll just like drop them off at your door so then you can go change them. We don't offer that. But then we do offer, it's called Rock the Score, where you pay a little bit extra a month and your on-time credit or on-time rent payments will reflect your credit score.
So the tenant benefit package that you're talking about is the normal ones that we see are not optional, they're required. We have to force it on all of our tenants. And I've kind of shied away from those mandatory ones because it's going to be an additional charge to the tenant. And I'm just afraid if I force that on tenants, that's going to be one thing. The other way I look at it is if I'm the owner, right, and I'm working for our owners, if I'm the owner and they're going to say, well, they can afford $35 more a month, why aren't they paying that towards rent as opposed to these benefit packages that so those are my negatives about them. A is that it's just another charge to them, and B, it's mandatory. If we can offer those as an option to tenants, we would jump on board with some of these packages that they talk about. But yeah, I've been to conferences where the guys are, the people are saying that's a wonderful thing. It's a good benefit to the tenants, and others that are just like me saying that if you have to force them to do it, it's not a good thing. So I steer away from the mandatory ones.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for sharing that. Yeah, we had a previous property manager that made it mandatory on a lease renewal. Without our knowledge. And so all of a sudden, when we're increasing the rent from our side of, I don't know, $25 to $40 rent increase, and now they had another $45 in a resident mandatory package, people left. Yeah, on that lease renewal, because that was almost $100 hit.
I think it's successful in other markets, but not in our market. I know there's some practices that are just automatic and people expect it in the big cities, right, on either coast, but it's just not, I don't think it fits in our market. And I don't want to force a tenant to do something they don't want to do. And if they can afford $40 more, then I'd rather see that go towards the rent so that the owner gets that.
And the other concern that I had with the other, like you mentioned the furnace filters. And so in their package, it said that they would provide furnace filters every 3 months, which first of all, they never did. But also, when our units are in multi-family buildings, our tenants don't have access to the furnaces, nor do we want them to. So I feel it was a little bit of a fraud saying that they're providing a service that they're not.
Yeah, that furnace filter, I'm not crazy about that because they leave it with the tenant to do that. So we offer preventive maintenance where we actually go in and change the filter. And part of that service is that we're just not just changing the filter, that gets us in the door so we can do an inspection and take a look around so we know if there's an issue. So that's not, we consider preventive maintenance. We do offer it as an offering to our owners, but yeah, as far as just dropping filter off, I don't see a benefit to that at all. It can end up in the trash and then you have a problem with your furnace air filter.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, as property owners. That's what we want. We want a property manager that's looking around the apartment while they're there. Does anyone else have something to add today?
I just have a question, since we're talking about filters. Do most of you go in and check the filter, like every 3 months, or do you just trust your tenant to do that? To change it?
On our properties, we do change our filters ourselves every 3 months. We do have a property manager that collects all the rent, but when Doug is in town and available, because he's doing a lot of rehab, And like I said, our furnaces are not in the units. They're in the basements, so we can go in and change our filters.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty convenient. Because a lot of times it's a problem, just going in for inspections of the property. Like I'm busy, I'm at work, the time does not, coincide. So I'm just wondering how most of you do that. So yeah, thanks, Ann.
So some of our units as well, I've got an echo. You echoing or
Yeah,
me?
you got an echo there, yeah.
Some of our units. Okay, I'm gonna withdraw.
Yours off.
Muted.
So
Can you hear me now without echo?
yeah, that's much better.
Oh, great. I think our computers were too close together. We sit at a split desk type thing here. So some of our units in our fourplexes, our upper units, the actual heating for and cooling units on the second floor units, they are up inside the unit instead of in the basement, where the other units down below in the fourplex are in the basement. So we try and minimize our access to our basements to our service personnel and vendors only. We don't want forgotten hot tubs and pool tables and couches and all kinds of debris on move outs being left behind in our basement. So we minimize the floor space available and only leave enough radius footage for washer and dryer if that's plumbed for that. So those units, yes, their leases might state that they are responsible for their furnaces, but the majority of them, we do go in at the beginning of every season change or harsh weather conditions, or just tune up with our vendors that handle our HVAC. We'll do that. We'll expedite that at least monthly to see what's going on with the unit after servicing. And then we kind of back down to every 3 months, depending on the usage. Your furnaces will tell you a lot about your tenants and the air quality of your building. It'll tell you if they're smoking. They're all smoking. They pets, the dander from pets will get into the air intake systems. That's really bad on your furnace filters. Even casual house sweeping, it can get, airborne. They're sweeping up dust, they're sweeping up hair, they're sweeping up whatever might be on the floor, and sometimes that'll even get sucked into the system and fall down into the mechanics of the whole system. So yeah, the furnaces are kind of like the crystal ball and knowing how your furnace is working and how your units are being lived in. So yeah, some of that is shared with the tenants. They do have responsibilities. Otherwise, we try and provide it as well. And it also gives us an opportunity where we do get to go in and see the living conditions when we do check on the internal units. So for service calls, if our tenants wish to be there, we'll give them notice. If they can't be there because of their employment, we get a text authorization, them giving us text authorization, as well as the notice that we already gave them, that we'll be entering in their absence, and we'll be changing those filters and checking the components and the batteries and so forth, and our smoke detectors and so forth. So that gives us a legitimate reason to get in, but it also gives us an eye spy to the conditions in which our units are being used and occupied. So I mute it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's good practice. Yes, thanks.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else we're looking for. It seems like every week I'm asking for some type of recommendation on a service. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas? services? If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. And we'll return next Friday. And as far as I know, John Lee will return. Maybe he'll give us an update on what he's learning today.
Okay, thanks, Ann.
Thank you for joining. Have a good day. Good weekend.
Yeah,
Thank
you as
you.
well. Mhm. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.